April 17th, 2019 and October 18th, 2021 will be the release date of both Joker from Persona 5 and Sora from Kingdom Hearts to be added into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as DLC fighters. While Super Smash Bros. Isn't canon to either series unless you want to take Nomura's interview statement at face value, I thought it would be interesting to put these two in a versus battle and see who would come out on top. Based on the results of the poll, it's clear that you all wanted to see my take on this matchup. Like always, all feats, scans, and calculations will be provided in the description below via Google Doc for all your uses, and while you're down there, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel with post notifications turned on. That way you never miss when I upload. I also have other videos just like this one on the channel that you might like. For my returning viewers, consider following all my other social media as well as checking out all the artists whose music will be playing in the background. It'll be a nice way to support me as well as all the others. But with all that e-begging done, let's get into the video.
Ready? Go!
When it comes to both of these characters, I think it's best to explain their respective cosmologies, as due to them being video game characters, a lot of people try to downplay their abilities in scaling due to gameplay reasons. I'll start off with Kingdom Hearts' cosmology first, and credits to everyone will be in the description as well as on screen, as I would have struggled to make this video otherwise. Now for my returning viewers, you already know that I already did this a while back, and while you could go back to see that video, like I mentioned in that video, I got the scaling wrong. This is because some people in the comments and me after recording it had noticed the problems with the scaling, as I only got the verse and by proxy Sora around hyperversal at his strongest, which is still hella strong, but by no means outer versal like I claimed. So if that happens again, then damn, I really am trash.
This nigga is trash.
Be sure to get some snacks, as both cosmologies will take a while to explain. So let's actually get into it. The cosmology holds concepts such as light and darkness, acting as total opposites to one another. These concepts are considered abstract universal energy sources that are as old as time itself, predating the verse and causing the creation of it as well, which includes concepts such as space, time, and the cosmology, like I said before. This is stated by Xemnas, where he states, "This world began in darkness, and from that darkness came light. From the light came the people, and the people had hearts." The implication being that light and darkness would be considered pre-dimensional concepts for birthing the concept in the entire verse of Kingdom Hearts, which would make them beyond spatial and temporal constructs and thus platonic concepts that would be considered for the outer versal tier of existence. These concepts would also be above dimensionality since they created all things in the verse. Light and darkness are also said to be energies that make up hearts, aka the souls, inside said verse. Darkness was also inside the sleeping world in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance by the organization, acting as a way to keep Sora inside an infinite dream loop, or a dream within a dream. We also know that light and darkness can never be separated, showing that they're dual concepts as they cannot exist without the other. When it comes to the cosmology itself, it holds a realm known as the Ocean Between. This realm consists of each world and dimension of the verse, with each world being considered an infinite separate universe, as shown by the Grand Councilwoman in Birth by Sleep, who oversees the entirety of deep space, yet despite that she has no further knowledge of any of the worlds. This is also backed up by the Xehanort Report 2, as it talks about each world having its own order and how they're ignorant to the existence of other worlds outside of their own for the most part. We also know that these worlds are also stated to be infinite in size, as we've seen with Beast's castle, which was confirmed by Nomura himself in an interview, with all other worlds following suit with this, as nothing I've seen would contradict this. The worlds in Kingdom Hearts also have special barriers between them, cutting each other off from another. So if you're wondering why Stitch doesn't just hop to another world to escape capture, it's because his ship doesn't have the capabilities to do so, say with a portal, gummy ship, or keyblade glider. Knowing this, we could continue talking about the Ocean Between, in which, since it contains the entire cosmology as an overarching enclosed medium that connects different realms such as the realm of light, dark, sleep, data, in between, and memory. With the realm of sleep having its own separate space-time as shown in Dream Drop Distance, it can be interpreted that the Ocean Between is above the other realms in terms of scaling and exists above dimensionality, since it exists beyond those previously said dimensions or realms, and doesn't have to abide by any laws or limitations that everything else in the verse would. As I said previously, the realm of sleep has its own time flows, seeing as its time flows differently, and characters such as Xehanort are able to freely manipulate time inside it. This realm's worlds also exist in a state of possibility where they're both real and not real at the same time, showing that they exist in a layer of existence that's removed from causality. Next, the realm of memory, as seen in Chain of Memories, the worst game in the series by the way. We see that Castle Oblivion transcends conventional existence and possibly conceptual boundaries, seeing as through the use of Sora's memories, the castle is able to shape Sora's own perception as well as the entire world structure as a whole at the cost of Sora's real memories in exchange for artificial ones. In Kingdom Hearts Coded and Recoded, we're treated to the data Datascape, a digital recreation of Jiminy's entire journal. And while you might expect this to just be data and numbers, you'd be wrong, as the characters inside this realm become sentient and have emotions of their own. This is shown through Sora, who seemingly has a heart and is able to experience emotions such as pain or hurt, as he says in game. King Mickey even states himself that the data world is just as important as the real one, and if we take this statement literally, then it would show that the realm of data is equal to the real world, as it houses characters with metaphysical concepts like hearts. We also know that the Datascape or realm of data can affect reality, as Twilight Town is famously used to create real physical beings, as shown with Roxas, a character who was merged with Sora at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, since Roxas is Sora's nobody and shouldn't really exist at all. Moving on from these physical realms, we can move to realms such as the Final World and the Station of Awakening. For the Final World, this is a place where a person goes when their physical body is destroyed, but their heart is still intact, acting as the afterlife of the Kingdom Hearts series. It isn't a physical world like I said before, as it is a plane of existence that is between existence and non-existence. Time and space are also non-linear here, and beings here, like the Nameless Star, are able to have sentience and awareness of what's going on in the real world, despite technically being dead. The Station of Awakening is a symbolic realm that's unique to everyone in the verse, as it's derived from their own heart or soul, with this realm being able to be accessed from other worlds such as sleep, memory, and the Final World. Lastly, because I know somebody's going to mention in the comments, even though Kingdom Hearts 4 isn't out by the time of this recording, we have Quadratum, in which this realm exists outside of the Kingdom Hearts cosmology, or known as Unreality by the cast. This place would scale above the entire cosmology, as it sees this place as fiction and would have narrative transcendence. To finalize things, we have Kingdom Hearts itself, which is depicted as a giant heart in the sky that is a source of light, existence, and power. This structure is an omniversal force that governs each realm. All in all, this would make the Kingdom Hearts cosmology baseline outerversal, and since Quadratum transcends all that, it would be high outerversal. But what about Joker's world? Can it really compare? Before we explain what's inside the cosmology, it's important to note that inside the Shin Megami Tensei and Personaverse houses a concept known as cognition. With it, whatever belief is thought of is brought into existence as a powerful entity. An example of this being Yaldabaoth, but we'll get into that later. For scaling, the cosmology can vary anywhere from as low as multiversal to as high as outerversal. This is due to the fact that Persona shares the same universe as Shin Megami Tensei, with both verses consisting of concepts such as YHVH, the Great Will, Nyarlathotep, the Collective Unconscious, and the Tree of Light. Let's start off with the YHVH, which is the embodiment of the Great Will and is a higher cosmic being who influences all of existence. We also know that he transcends timelines, concepts, and realities, while also acting as a force beyond all confines of creation. However, despite all that, you could also argue that it isn't outerversal, since he is technically bound by metaphysical laws and frameworks of the world he's in. This is due to his portion of being an aspect of the Great Will, which is a philosophical concept which has transcendent influence over all realities in Shin Megami Tensei. This concept has the power to reshape universes, create new worlds, and define the laws of existence, albeit still operating within the metaphysical system. Seeing as the Great Will is bound by the metaphysical system, it means neither of the Great Will and YHVH are above all logic, structures, and concepts in the verse. Nyarlathotep is part of a dual embodiment of good and evil in the human psyche alongside Philemon. It exists in realms beyond human reality, aka the Sea of Souls, and is able to influence all events behind the scene while also affecting multiple timelines. This could be argued to be outer, since he operates in both metaphysical and extra-dimensional spaces. The collective unconscious is described as a shared mental space that connects all the minds of every human and is tied to the collective beliefs, disbeliefs, and fears of all of humanity. This space is also able to influence every person and timelines across multiple universes. However, it's still bound by human cognition, which means it's not above belief and perception itself. The Tree of Life is a map of reality, consciousness, and divinity, while also containing 10 Sephiroths. No, not that one. Which represents stages of creation and consciousness. In Shin Megami Tensei, the structure also represents the hierarchy of reality, the ascent from material to divine consciousness, and also layers of the soul, mind, and universe. We also know that this structure also has infinite branches or fractal animations, while each Sephiroth also has infinite interpretations, worldviews, and dimensions. The higher the Sephiroth is, the more qualitatively superior it is to the last and more abstract. Not to mention, we also know that the collective unconscious is beyond even the concept of dimensionality. So all in all, the verse should consistently scale around high complex multiversal to outerversal. So after all that yapping of each respective cosmology, let's actually get into each character's feats of strength. Once again, I'll start off with Sora, as even back in Kingdom Hearts 1, he could be considered a multiversal threat, as during the climax of the game, Sora alongside Donald and Goofy fight against Ansem the Seeker of Darkness. This guy threatens to plunge every Disney world into darkness, effectively destroying them, in which some of you might be thinking that Sora doesn't fully scale to him, in which you'd be wrong, as in multiple parts of the fight, we see that Sora is able to fight Ansem on his own, seeing as he trapped Donald and Goofy in different dimensions, in which Sora has to go save them, meaning that he does scale to Ansem. In Kingdom Hearts 2, you could argue that Sora potentially gets into those hyperversal levels of attack potency, as he alongside Riku fight an amped version of Xemnas, who had previously absorbed the partial Kingdom Hearts. Sora and Riku end up defeating him together in an absolute high difficulty fight, aiming a beam right through Xemnas' chest. In the climax of Kingdom Hearts 3, we see Sora fight against Master Xehanort, a person who now wields the Keyblade, a blade that was forged by a higher dimensional clash between 7 pieces of light and 13 pieces of darkness. Xehanort intends to use it alongside the power of Kingdom Hearts itself to rewrite reality, reverting everything in the cosmology back to zero. In a group of 3 Keyblade Masters, being King Mickey, Aqua, and Riku, it's actually Sora who steps up to fight him and is confident in his ability to do it alone, but has Donald and Goofy accompany him in the fight. Sora should be relative to the 3 Keyblade Masters after unlocking the power of Waking, most directly to Aqua as he fights a dark anti-version of her in the Realm of Darkness. This is impressive as Aqua is stated to have the power to be able to shatter the Keyblade. Keep in mind, King Mickey and Riku were unable to stop her, but Sora does it alone and manages to bring her back to the light. Sora finally defeats Xehanort and saves Kairi, but because he abused the power of Waking, Sora dies at the end of the game, which brings us to the Kingdom Hearts Remind DLC. In it, we see Sora in the final world again, and meeting Yuzora, leading into the boss fight. Regardless of if Sora wins or loses, the outcome is the same, with Sora being transported into Quadratum, the place of Kingdom Hearts 4, and thus sees his verse as fiction, as he now transcends it for being in this dimension, which would solidify Sora being in those multiversal to high outerversal levels of power. When it comes to his speed, we know that Xehanort transcends space and time, as well as being able to manipulate it freely, as well as the fact that we know that Sora has fought in places such as the Realm of Darkness that do not hold the concept of time, which will grant Sora immeasurable speed. However, we could also scale him to irrelevant speed, as since we previously scaled him to outerversal to high outer, this would mean that Sora would exist above all spatial temporal dimensions, thus making calculating his speed pretty much meaningless or irrelevant, since there's no restriction to his speed, since the concepts of time and space aren't a restriction on his speed. When it comes to hacks and abilities, Sora has a ton, but his most impressive are after image creation, electromagnetic manipulation, elemental manipulation, force field creation, telekinesis, summoning, stats amplification, healing, fate manipulation, power mimicry, power nullification, levitation, resurrection, regeneration negation, existence erasure, life absorption, immortality negation, and reality warping. Moving on to Joker, he fights against a character named Yaldabaoth, a god born of humanity's collective unconscious. He also governs the Holy Grail, which maintains and enforces the cognitive prison binding humanity's will. Yaldabaoth's existence also spans across multiple layers of cognition, thus affecting the collective unconscious, mementos, and the real world at the same time. Joker, alongside the other members of the Phantom Thieves, end up destroying Yaldabaoth, restoring human free will, and altering reality. This would scale Joker all the way from multiversal to high complex multiversal, and even outerversal if we go with the notion of Joker transcending the collective unconscious and mementos, considering them layers within multiversal to high complex multiversal frameworks of the verse. We could also add further validity to this if we take this statement from the Persona light novel that states that Yaldabaoth exists beyond dimensional laws through the collective unconscious, and Thor existing in it, which as previously stated, is stated to be above the concept of dimensionality. When it comes to speed, Joker should scale to immeasurable speed due to being able to move freely in realms inside the collective unconscious, like the palaces and mementos, in which these places operate outside of normal time. Not only that, seeing as Thor is a recruitable and fightable summon, Joker should scale to him, in which we know that Thor transcends time and dimensional structures, such as the Expanse, which is a place that exists outside of normal time and where space and time loses all meaning. With this, we could scale Joker comfortably around immeasurable speed to irrelevant speed for the same reasons as Sora. Finally, for this part of the video, we have Joker's hacks and abilities, in which he has access to fate manipulation, existence erasure, durability negation, perception manipulation, elemental manipulation, immortality negation, probability manipulation, spatial manipulation, limited invulnerability, and regeneration. So when it comes down to it, who wins this matchup? In terms of raw stats, the two are pretty much even, both being at least multiversal threats in their own right, and can be scaled to outerversal. However, since Sora in Kingdom Hearts 4 is in Quadratum, he'd have the slight edge, due to being a tier above Joker, being high high outer versal. Speed is also its high, as we established that both of these characters get into the immeasurable to irrelevant speed tiers, making them extremely fast. When it comes to battle IQ, Joker is considered a tactical genius due to being the strategist of the Phantom Thieves, being able to formulate entire infiltration routes, manage team roles, and set ambushes and think on the fly. He's also versatile due to being able to use a multitude of personas with differing abilities, and can identify weaknesses in his enemies while also taking down divine beings, like when he outsmarted Maruki, who had control of all reality. Whereas Sora is able to adapt to his opponents and improvise in real time while also swapping different Keyblades mid-fight in Kingdom Hearts 3, showing his mastery over his weapon despite not being an official Keyblade master. Sora is also able to handle ambushes in large crowds of enemies, as seen with his fight against 1000 and 10,000 Heartless in Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3 respectively. He also fought against Yozora and Remine, who was able to create clones, distort time, shift weapons, and even managed to hold out as well as outmaneuver Yozora when his Keyblade is stolen during the fight. So when looking at it that way, Joker should clear Sora in terms of IQ and battle IQ when given prep time, but without it, I'm pretty sure Sora would eventually overwhelm him due to how fast he adapts to his opponents, but it wouldn't be a cakewalk seeing as Sora is also prone to deception. Which leaves us with hacks and abilities. Both of these characters have access to healing, summons, stat amplification, time manipulation, fate manipulation, and reality warping, as well as being very versatile with the differing Keyblades and personas at their disposal. With that being said, this matchup needs a winner, and I've got Sora winning against Joker at extremely high difficulty since he's a tier above Joker, but Joker has the speed to keep up with Sora, as well as the hacks to put Sora down if given enough time, making the winner of this matchup Sora. So that was my take on Sora versus Joker. Let me know your thoughts down below, whether you agree or not. I'm pretty sure I forgot some things on both ends, so it would be much appreciated to learn some more about either series. While you're down there, consider dropping a like on this video, as well as subscribing to the channel with post notifications turned on. That way you never miss an upload. In addition to that, be sure to check out my socials down below. That way you get any updates that I don't post on the community tab. I also want to give a big thank you to you, the viewer, for making it to the end of this video, as this script was extremely difficult for me to write, if I'm being 100% honest with myself, and probably the longest video that I've ever made up to this point, but I wouldn't have done it with these amazing people that you see on screen, and all the links to every scan, feat, or calculation will be down in the description below. For the next video, I'll be throwing in a megaman.exe power scaling video that I should be editing when this video is going out. This way you won't have to wait another 2 or so months in between posts. But with that being said, I've been your host Jojo, and I'll catch y'all later.
Bitch, I'm not your regular nigga. I just feel like you should know that. Now I'm on, she let me hit it. I told baby where you throw that. She saying something about a nigga, but my niggas, they be on that. We gon' paint the city red. We gon' get that boy our toe tag. We gon' get that boy our toe tag. We gon' paint the city red. We gon' get that boy our toe tag. She saying something about a nigga, but my niggas, they be on that. We gon' paint the city red. We gon' get that boy our toe tag.